Good afternoon, everyone. It's Matt Donaghue with your weekly update from Mission Financial Planners. Today is Monday, February 26th. I had to look at the date there just to be sure, which is funny because today's a super important day for me personally, as it's my 13th anniversary, and on top of that it is my oldest daughter Chloe's 11th birthday. So happy birthday, Chloe! Happy anniversary to me and my lovely wife Crystal. All right, let's get into last week's market news. So first thing is Nasdaq was all over the news last week. Nvidia popped in a huge way, but that rally on Thursday helped U.S. stock indices rebound from the previous week's mostly negative results. Nasdaq's gain of more than 1% left that index 4/10 of a percentage point below its record closing set way back on November 19th of 2021. The S&P 500 and the Dow both added to record highs they had set just 11 days earlier. Stronger than expected earnings from major semiconductor companies propelled U.S. indices on Thursday to their biggest daily gains in a year. Nasdaq's nearly 3% surge, which is biggest in 12 months. The S&P 500's 2.1% rise was its highest in 13 months. Japan, hey, it only took more than 30 years, but Japanese stocks finally set a record high on Thursday, climbing above their prior peak established way back on December 31st, 1989. Folks, I was 16 years old in 1989. It took them 34 years to recover to their previous high. Their equity market fell into a long slump in the early 90s and it began a very long rebound after hitting a low in early 2009. Inversion. The current inversion of the yield curve deepened on Friday to its most extreme level year to date, as measured by the gap between the yields of the 2-year and 10-year U.S. Treasury bonds. The 2 years closing yield on Friday was 4.68%, while the 10 years yield was 4.26. So there's your inversion, right? Short term is paying higher than long term. Short term debt is yielding, of course, more than long term. The Fed officials last week expressed concern that recent progress in reducing inflation could be reversed by any strong growth in spending, by consumers and hiring by businesses. Minutes of their late January meeting were released on Wednesday, which showed some of the officials on the Fed note that I should say, a risk that their efforts on price stability could fail or stall. Lagging small caps, an index of U.S. small cap stocks slipped, becoming an outlier in an otherwise positive week. The Russell 2000 fell about 0.8%, 0.8% for the week, extending its run of year-to-date underperformance versus its large cap peers. Oil's also had a tough ride. Oil prices fell about 2%, reversing course from the prior week's gain as the commodity traded in a fairly wide range. The price of U.S. crude climbed to nearly $80 a barrel on Tuesday before it dropped as low as $76 on Wednesday. On Friday, oil was traded slightly under 77%. GDP update ahead. Wednesday's scheduled release of the updated U.S. GDP estimate for fourth quarter last year is going to be one of the most watched economic reports of the week. The initial estimate released in late January indicated that GDP expanded at a rate of 3.3% in last year's fourth quarter, which exceeded most expectations. Speaking of reports, a lot of reports today. New home sales from the U.S. Census Bureau. Tomorrow, S&P Case-Shiller 20-city composite home price index. The consumer confidence index from the Conference Board comes out tomorrow, as does durable goods from the U.S. Census Bureau. Wednesday, fourth quarter GDP, which I just mentioned. Thursday, personal consumption expenditure price index from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, pending home sales from the National Association of Realtors, and the weekly unemployment claims from the U.S. Department of Labor. Friday, we'll see Institute for Supply Management's Manufacturing Index and construction spending per the U.S. Census Bureau, and of course, the University of Michigan's Index of Consumer Sentiment. Your quote of the week from a philosophy standpoint. This one comes from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and it's basically about acknowledging that you can't control everything. Now, those of you who know me, most of these books on the wall behind me are history related. Most of the stuff about Marcus Aurelius is kind of right there, somewhere in there, maybe even up there. But at any rate, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He had an interesting personal life. Him and his wife were married for something like 32 or 33 years. They had 13 children, only 5 of which survived into adulthood, including the Looney Tunes emperor Commodus, who was featured in the movie Gladiator. So Marcus Aurelius knew a little bit about what you can control and what you can't control. And I suppose you're not running the Roman Empire if you're not pretty good at that. At any rate, this is something he wrote. You have been formed of three parts: body, breath, and mind. Of these, the first two are yours insofar as they are only in your care. The third alone is truly yours. What is he saying? Hey, your health could go bad, right? Things around you are going to change. The only thing you can control is how you react to those changes. Okay, tax tip of the week: non-cash charitable contributions. Track them, track them, track them. Go to our blog at www.missionfinancialplanners.com if you want to read the whole text behind this. I'm going to jump to the main points. First one is most families donate a lot more in terms of actual value than what they give themselves credit for on their IRS forms. So most families are going to donate closer to $3,000 of non-cash items, but they claim only about $500. Be sure to get written receipts for anything you donate, especially cash, check, or credit card contributions of $250 or more. The IRS form that you use to report your charitable contributions is Form 8283. You only need to use that report if the non-cash charitable contributions are $500 or more. Document, document, document. Don't just get a receipt. Take a picture of the items that you donate to prove the condition and the number of items given. You'll need a written appraisal if the value of the item being donated is $5,000 or more for a specific item. Make sure in that written appraisal they say you're getting the appraisal for tax purposes. Okay, so written appraisal, if you're going to give something away that's worth 5,000 or more, make sure in that appraisal they note that this was for tax purposes. And if you're not sure what stuff is worth, you give stuff away. You go to whatever your charity is, you go there, and you're not sure, hey, go to the Salvation Army website. They have a fantastic website for being able to determine the value of items donated. Again, if you want to check out the full text behind that, go to our website, www.missionfinancialplanners.com. Check out our blog on that website. You'll see the full text behind what I'm going through today. Another thing I'm going to just go to the main points on is the health tip of the week, which is really keep your joints healthy as you age. So this is a doctor who is a Mayo Clinic orthopedic surgeon. His name is Joaquin Sotelo. He is a medical doctor and a PhD, and he has some suggestions for managing, especially arthritic pain. So for me, left knee, right? Is it arthritis? I don't know, right? I haven't had an MRI to really figure it out. I just know it hurts. It hurts more often than it doesn't. But suggestions: modify your activities. If you have arthritic hip or knee, instead of running, which pounds on the joints, maybe go bicycling. Take the load off the joints with gait aids. If you use a cane, maybe that can help lighten the load on your hip, knee, or ankle joints, therefore decreasing pain. Knee braces can shift the load to the healthier part of the knee joint. If the pain persists, you might want to consider an over-the-counter medication such as acetaminophen or ibuprofen. However, don't forget about side effects such as ulcers, kidney, or heart issues. In general, you don't want to use any kind of narcotics. If the pain continues, you might want to consider some injections. Okay, these could be cortisone or Toradol, which, when injected to the point, can help relieve pain. Again, these medications are going to have side effects, so be sure to speak with your healthcare professional. I'm going to try to say this. Hyaluronic acid, which is also injected, uses components similar to those of the joint lubricating fluid to try to help replenish it. It's been more successful in the knee joint than in hip or shoulder joints. Now, some injections which are marketed as regenerative medicine, these are going to include stem cells and platelet-rich plasma. A lot of doctors, according to Dr. Sotelo, says that these are really experimental at this point because there's really no firm evidence about their efficacy. And he comments, or he wraps up his article with a great comment, which is, you know what, people used to just live with this stuff. You don't have to. Go to the doctor. That's what they're for, right? Get those treatments because you know how you feel. And hey, if that can help you, like Marcus Aurelius said, to get a better control of your mind and your attitude and your mood and everything, maybe that's worth doing. Well, have a great week. One last thing. I know this went a little long this week. One last thing. Make sure to sign up to let me, Ken, Jason, or Andrew know if you are interested in attending our March 21st client event. It's going to be hosted at the Alamo Brewery in downtown San Antonio. We have the whole facility. Our partners from Kester Investment Management and from the Symetra Life Insurance Company are both going to be there as well. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great week, and we will talk soon. Bye bye.